We are live 100%. Awesome. Cool. Hello, guys. Welcome back to Mary Truth Talks. Thank you guys for joining and watching and commenting and subscribing. I appreciate it because thanks to you guys, my videos are being shown to other people. So thank you so much. And before I begin, I want to talk about my Instagram. Go check it out, Mary_Truths, where we can connect. I would actually have like conversations about whatever it is that you guys want to talk about aside from just YouTube. And check out my wellness page. It is MBE Elevate. That is my baby. It's our baby, my partner and I. We have a project that it's an ongoing project where we believe the mind and body connection is everything. And we believe that in order for us to elevate our lives, we have to become aware of the mind and body connection. So yeah, go check out MB Elevate on Instagram. All right, so this week has been pretty wild. It is going to be 2 days before the election, so pretty intense. I'm going to be talking about a couple things election related. I'm going to be talking about some voter shenanigans, and then a little bit about foreign affairs, and a little bit about law and order in America. So the first conversation I want to have with you guys is about the whole Puerto Rico joke that Tony Hinchcliffe said. So, I mean, I guess I can say I'm a bit biased because I really like Tony. I actually found him through our friend Jesse, who you guys have already met in a previous live. I think my first live ever. I was with Jesse, and he's the one who introduced me to Tony Hinchcliffe, and my partner and I have been watching him ever since. Every Monday that he comes on, we do our best to watch because it's funny, entertaining, and it's just comedy is just one of those things that allows you to offend people, and because it's funny, it's okay, and it doesn't matter who's getting offended. It doesn't matter who you're offending as long as it's funny, you know. So I honestly didn't think that the whole Puerto Rico joke was gonna make headway. Like, I wouldn't even call it waves, I would say tsunami, but it did. I'm Cuban, born there, so I didn't really see why Puerto Ricans would make a big deal about it, because at the end of the day, it's not like you don't live in Puerto Rico. It's not like you don't know that you have a waste management problem. So like the Puerto Ricans that live here and got offended by it, to be honest with you, I think you're very disconnected from what's going on in your own country if you got offended by a joke that literally is just sharing awareness about what's going on in Puerto Rico when it comes to waste management and what's going on over there. I went to Puerto Rico about 3 years ago, I believe, and I saw it for myself that they have a waste management problem. So it's not like it's something that the comedian said as like a racist remark. It was just him saying, you guys have this issue and I'm gonna make fun of it by exposing what's actually going on, you know, in the best comedic way possible. So let's watch a little bit about it because I don't know, maybe you guys can disagree with me about it, but you can put it in the comments, whatever you think, whether you think it was offensive or you agree that it's not that big of a deal. Let's take a look.
I got to see San Francisco turn into one of the most demented cities, one of the greatest downfalls I've ever seen, and that is where the other candidate worked for 2 decades, and it's absolutely wild to see. And in Texas, stuff is really, really crazy. We're right there by a wide open border. Where are my proud Latinos at tonight? You guys see what I mean? It's wide open. There's so many of them. It's absolutely incredible. Believe it or not, people, I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this. It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country.
Oh, that was good.
Republicans are the party with a good sense of humor. Free speech is under attack, people. I host a show, and each week I get updates what words we're allowed to use and not use anymore. It's happening right now the past few years. It's a real thing. And, you used to be able to tell people to Google stuff. My mom's a boomer in the state of Ohio, and there's no convincing her of anything. She's eating the cats. She's eating the dogs. They're eating the pets up there. It is absolutely wild times. It really, really is. And, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. Now, again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody. This isn't exactly a perfect comedy setup. There's some people here. All right. Very good.
All right. Very good. So, a lot of people got offended because of the fact that he's white and he was making a racist joke against Puerto Ricans and Hispanics. There's this progressive, hard left, what's his name? How do you pronounce his name? Cenk Uygur, or however you say his name, from the Young Turks. So he pretty much said that he shouldn't have said that because he was white, and the fact that he didn't make any white jokes is explicitly saying that, the movement itself is racist against everybody that's not white, because he didn't say any white jokes being a white man. And I think that within itself is racist, because it doesn't matter that because he didn't say a white joke and he's white, it makes him racist by making fun of other people. Like, that's part of being a comedian, is making fun of people. And the fact that they're picking at his race as a reason that he did not make fun of his own race is racist. Like, it is racist. So it's just funny. I think it's really funny, and I think people are full of shit. He was just doing his job as a comedian. AOC was talking about how, that comedy skit was vetted and it does correlate directly with the Trump campaign. And to me, it's like, okay, fine. Let's say it was vetted and they knew exactly what he was going to say. So what? People still showed up. They still stayed for the entire rally. People were outside as well. So at the end of the day, I think you're just hating on the mere fact that there's so many people supporting this movement. It's not just about Trump. It's about the movement behind it. The amount of people he's moved into this idea is what's impressive. And it doesn't matter what a joke says or how a joke makes somebody feel. It doesn't change the amount of impact this guy has just by showing how many people he was able to bring to Madison Square Garden. And outside of Madison Square Garden, there were still people there just being there, existing. So that tells you everything. But let's continue on. We're talking about garbage. Garbage for some reason has been like a really like trendy conversation to have after Tony. So our president of the United States, our amazing president, who is not senile and is very healthy and very mentally fit, according to, the administration, according to Kamala Harris, until, the terrible debate that he had with Donald Trump. All of a sudden now he wasn't mentally fit to be president to be president again, even though he's still president now. And he thinks that it was okay to, on a webcam, to say that we are garbage. Trump supporters are garbage. And of course, the Democrats want to gloss over it. But let's take a look.
And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
Everything with him is un-American. What's un-American is how we have a president who literally just said people who don't support his administration are a bunch of garbage. That's what he said. The administration wants to try to like grammar check and like, oh no, that's not what he said. He wasn't insulting the American people. No. He was just insulting the rhetoric of Tony Hinchcliffe. Like, no, you were not. He literally said his supporters are garbage. Those were the words that came out of his mouth. And because he's on a camera, you cannot try to edit that or splice or nothing. That is what he said. And at the end of the day, the president of the United States should not be saying anything remotely divisive to the point where you're literally calling people who don't agree with your ideology garbage. So talking about, spewing hate, because, they want to say that the Trump supporters, we're allowing a fascist to want to take power again. And, that rally was apparently a Nazi-style rally, according to many on the left. But at the end of the day, the speech that Kamala Harris did as her closing statement was very hateful. But I'm just going to give you a little bit of it because she posted this herself on her own YouTube channel, or her team did. But take a look. Tell me if you think this is not hateful. Go ahead.
Nearly 250 years ago, America was born when we wrested freedom from a petty tyrant. Across the generations, Americans have preserved that freedom, expanded it, and in so doing, proved to the world that a government of, by, and for the people is strong and can endure. And those who came before us, they did not struggle, sacrifice, and lay down their lives only to see us cede our fundamental freedoms to the will of another petty tyrant. For America, in 7 days, we have the power to turn the page and start writing the next chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told.
All right, so you saw that. Notice that they emphasize on January 6th because that is what they're aiming for. What's up, Adrian? Thank you for showing up. I appreciate you. What do you tell me, Adrian, what you think about this. I think she was spewing hate just in that little bit. Her whole speech, she does talk about Trump being bad and we shouldn't vote for Trump. And this is a very, very important election, insinuating that if he wins, democracy falls and the whole system dies. And it's just so much doom and gloom, such negativeness coming out of her campaign. It's not even because I'm voting for, or I voted, better said, for Trump. It's just, why would you, as your closing statement, bash the opposing side instead of just focusing on how you're going to better people's lives, how you're going to be a better candidate for the job versus the other. Instead, you're just talking shit about the other person and instilling fear that if he wins, everything is going to crash and burn. So I think it was interesting that she really emphasized on January 6th because I think his name is Senator Raskin, I believe. He said something very interesting, and go ahead, take a look. This is fascinating.
And so that means the only thing that really works is people in motion amending the Constitution. But again, it's necessary, but it's not sufficient because what can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so they want to kick it to Congress, so it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in Civil War conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job.
All right. So you know what this tells me? This tells me that the Democrat Party officially has lost all respect for the Supreme Court simply because the Supreme Court does not agree with their ideology. And the Supreme Court is the law of the land. So if you are now talking smack about the Supreme Court, which is the law of the land, you are indirectly saying, I have a problem with the law of the land because it doesn't fit our narrative as a Democrat Party. And that's the problem I'm having with the leftist party. That's why so many Democrats have also left the party. It's because it's now become this authoritarian type of mentality that if you don't actually believe in everything we believe in, you're the enemy, you're the problem, and we're going to do everything to change things. That's why they want to pack the court. That's why they're taking up the whole immunity thing with Donald Trump into the Senate, because they disagree with the ruling of the Supreme Court when it came to immunity with Donald Trump, which I'm going to talk about that soon. But it's the fact that this is somebody who we're paying our tax dollars to. And he literally just said the raging mob, which shows you that he has a distaste for Trump supporters. The problem I have with the left is that, at least the leaders of the left, better said, it's not the people, it's the leaders of the left that literally attack people who support the leader on the right. That's the issue I have. The difference between us and them is that the leaders on the right will attack the leadership on the left, as we're supposed to. These are the policies. This is what I believe in. This is what I do. This is why I disagree with their policies, etc. But that's not what they're doing. Instead, they demonize, they call names, and they go as far as going on CNN and saying that the rally was a Nazi-style rally, comparing it to the campaign that Hitler had in Madison Square Garden and comparing one to the other, which to me is really bad because this is a guy who almost lost his life. This is somebody who has a family. This is somebody who doesn't really have to do this. He has enough money to not have to do this. He's doing it because he believes he has to do this if he wants his family to continue having the wealth that they have, and for us as Americans to want to continue pursuing that same American dream that he has already succeeded. He has conquered the American dream, and the left is making it seem like he is against the American dream. And I think it's fascinating how how he used to be a Democrat and they were totally okay with him when he was a Democrat. And the minute he decided to switch sides because he disagreed with many things that they're doing, as many Democrats have also disagreed with, now he's the enemy. Now he's a threat to democracy. Now he's Hitler. Now he's a fascist. And it's time for us to really think, is he really a fascist? Is he really all these hateful things that they claim that he is? Is he really a criminal? I don't know. I think that he's a human being who's become very successful, who's built a family of also success, which is not easy to do. And I think that he has become a threat to the powers that be, whoever they are. I know that sounds really mysterious and Alex Jonesy, but we don't know who's controlling the strings. We don't know who's really controlling the White House right now because we know it ain't Biden. And I generally don't believe that Kamala Harris is pulling any strings. I think she is one of the puppets as well, because this woman can't articulate anything that she believes in, which is something that I want to continue to express even after this. It's that you're voting for somebody who cannot articulate any single policy in depth. And that is a problem if you cannot do that. If you can't have a conversation with somebody like Joe Rogan for 3 hours because your campaign knows you're going to bomb it, that should question voters who voted for you or who want to vote for you because they don't want to vote for Trump. Why should they vote for you if you can't sit down with one of the biggest known podcasters called Joe Rogan and just have a human conversation with him? So I don't know, dude. I think that within itself is something that people should be skeptical about. If we can't really know you as a human being, I don't think you should have the right to become president of the United States and of the free world, essentially. So I don't know. That's what I think. You guys in the comments, tell me what you think, because I don't think she is fit for the job. So I want to show you guys Trump's closing speech, and then I'm going to do a little bit of compare and contrast from Kamala's closing and Trump's closing. Check it out.
Get out, get out.
Speaking in a deep blue state, where a recent poll shows Vice President Kamala Harris with a significant lead ahead of him in New York. But his campaign advisor says Mr. Trump came to the iconic arena to give his closing argument to the entire country.
I will end inflation. I will stop the invasion of criminals coming into our country. And I will bring back the American dream.
The former president spoke repeatedly about improving the economy, providing tax cuts and credits, and about immigration.
On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history.
He spoke for more than an hour, only after dozens of his supporters took the stage first. From former Mayor Rudy Giuliani.
Here he is, fighting 24 hours a day.
To some of the former president's family members.
The King of New York is back.
To supporter Elon Musk.
Vote early. This is important.
Well, Mr. Trump rallied in New York. Vice President.
All right. So I want to give you guys a little bit of insight. So when I tried looking up Trump's close, like when I tried looking up Trump's rally in Madison Square Garden, you couldn't find the entire video by any media outlet. So like if you weren't actually there streaming it, you couldn't actually see what was going on the day that it was going on. And then afterwards, you have a bunch of clips from a bunch of different media outlets. So think about it. It was an exclusive event that you had to get tickets for. He packed up the entire area, plus the outside. He didn't actually record in any like one news outlet or his own channel. He literally allowed a bunch of streamers to go in there and stream it, a bunch of media outlets to go in there and stream it. And then different clips of the entire event just went viral, including Tony Hinchcliffe's video. Now, Kamala Harris's speech was on Kamala Harris's campaign channel on YouTube, and it has 808,000 views. Donald J. Trump's event has exceeded views from all different platforms because of the way they did it. Their marketing campaign is incredible, dude. Like nobody has ever seen this in political history, where you have a person who markets the way Donald Trump markets the campaign. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't like about the whole two-party system thing. And they continue to believe, you're citing one over the other as if one's better than the other. And this is what I have to say about that, and I wrote it down because I think words matter. Democrats and Republicans both use hate and fear. There isn't a party more righteous than the other. It all depends on ideas and how well you can communicate them for people to subscribe to it. So when it comes to a campaign, what are we looking at? We're looking at money, we're looking at the messaging, we're looking at the marketing for the messaging, and we're looking at the entertainment. So politics was never really entertaining until Donald Trump came into the arena and made it entertaining. And politics has been entertaining since he started in 2016, 2015. So, and it's not going to stop. So this idea of, it's about who has a better policies. Yeah, that's part of it. But it's also about how well can you market those policies? How well can you message your policy? And how entertaining can you sound when you're doing this, when you're marketing and you're messaging it. And Kamala Harris, I'm sorry, bro, you're boring. You are so boring that it's hard to watch you. Okay, and it's not like she's an ugly woman. She's a good-looking woman, but if you're boring, then you're not marketable. If you're boring, then your messaging just comes off flat. And you're not entertaining, and all you focus on is money. The whole campaign has there's been so much money donated to the Kamala Harris campaign, well beyond Donald Trump's campaign, and yet their marketing sucks, their messaging sucks, and they're not entertaining whatsoever. So the people who are investing in Kamala Harris, I'm sorry, you had a really bad investment. I'm just a regular average person, but I'm telling you the truth. The marketing sucks. If your marketing sucks, you're not gonna get anywhere. Doesn't matter how good the ideas are. So, and I'm sure a lot of people can agree on that. So I want to transition to what's going on with voting. So Joe Rogan had this guy Fetterman, who's a senator, who's always wearing a hoodie, which I think is very inappropriate and disrespectful, because we are paying you our tax dollars. Your salary is based off of us. So the least you can do is have a higher expectation of yourself and wear a suit to work, but whatever. That's just me. Whatever. If you guys can disagree in the comments, let me know what you think. Oh, what's up, Albenis? Albenis, you're awesome. We got to do another live together. So let's talk about voter ID and what states have it and what states don't have it. Go scroll down. Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's not a lot of states, but it's a handful.
So blue is photo ID required.
Okay.
And then yellow is no photo ID required.
Okay.
And then gray is no ID required.
Okay, so so gray is no ID required.
Mm-hmm.
What's yellow?
Non-photo ID required.
Non-photo ID. That's how do you know the person is who they're saying if there's no photo ID? And the blue are the people that do want voter ID and an ID. Okay, so this is the part that I don't understand about the states that we're seeing here, the yellow states and the gray states. Why don't you want somebody to have an ID with a picture on it or a voter ID to vote? You need in order for you to drive, you need an ID with a picture on it. In order for you to rent other cars from other enterprises, you need a license with your picture on it. If you want to buy cigarettes, tobacco, alcohol, you need an ID. So I don't understand why, when it comes to something as significant as voting for presidents and lawmakers and judges and amendments, you don't need an ID. That to me just shows where the disconnect is when it comes to voter integrity. If we truly want to have voter integrity and we truly want to have safer and fairer elections, nothing is perfect. It's not going to be absolute, but safer and fairer, I think, is reasonable. That should all be blue. This shouldn't be blue, yellow, and gray. It should all be blue. We should all, as a nation, agree that if you want to vote, you should have a driver's license or a voter ID. Just like if you want to buy beer, you need to have the same thing. That's just common sense across the board. I don't understand how there are states that don't agree with that, and that's questionable. To me, as an American citizen, you should question why on earth are states allowing no voter ID or license to go vote. That is just, think about that. So the next thing I want to talk about is a Supreme Court ruling that just happened recently in Pennsylvania. So very interesting stuff. So the Pennsylvania Supreme Court sides with GOP in last-minute mail-in ballot disputes. Ooh, baby, let's figure out what's going on. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court shut down an effort to allow mail-in ballots lacking a handwritten date to be counted in the 2024 election. The ruling overturns a decision from a Commonwealth court finding that the state law requiring a handwritten date was unconstitutional. The Pennsylvania GOP appealed that ruling to the state Supreme Court, and now undated mail-in ballots will not be counted in the upcoming election. All right, and then let's continue all the way down. Pennsylvania Republicans hailed the Friday ruling, saying Democrats have repeatedly tried to subvert the dating requirements. And then the Pennsylvania Supreme Court upheld the law, and the dated ballot requirements will be in effect for this election. Democrats have repeatedly tried to eliminate this important ballot safeguard, and we have stopped them each time. RNC Chairman Michael Whatley says in a statement, "We are committed to protecting critical ballot safeguards to ensure every ballot is cast and counted properly, and will continue to fight across Pennsylvania to protect the vote." And I just think this is kind of ridiculous how, like, we have to take this to the Supreme Court for them to be like, yeah, this is how you're supposed to, you know, run elections and ballots. And I think it should be common sense, but apparently it's not, and that's why the Supreme Court is intervening. But I think that this is a good thing, you know, even though it shows that there is a lot of imbalances when it comes to election season, election time to vote. But because we have a Supreme Court, thank God, it exposes that there is corruption, you know, and in order for us to fix it, we need to know that it's going on. So
Albany has a question.
Oh, what's going? I have a question. If Trump loses, do you think he'll deny, just like 2020 election? I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know if he'll deny it or not. I have no idea. I mean, he denied it last time. So, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if he denies it this time because he's not going to be able to run again. So, like, you know, if he denies it, then he denies it, but he's not going to run again. So, I don't know. We'll find out, but I wouldn't be surprised if he denies it. You know, but we'll see. I personally don't want him to even have to deny it. I would want him to just win. That way we have a second Trump term, and then we can move on to the next term and the next term and etc. You know.
He said it does.
What?
That it does matter. Whether he admits it or not.
What matters? Oh, he says that it does matter if he denies it. Yeah, I mean, it matters if he denies it to an extent, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because he's not going to be able to run again. So, like, he can moan and cry all he wants, and, you know, but it doesn't change the fact that you can't run again. So, you know, it's just, at the end of the day, he has a right to complain if he wants to complain, but it's not going to change, you know, how the system works. You tried to run, you lost, moving on, you know. Then, of course, the next, if let's say he loses and they start going after, oh, you know, what about these states where they were doing funny business here and they were doing funny business there or whatever. If they can recount the votes, which I doubt it's going to happen, and then they prove that he was right, then that would be interesting. But I doubt it. My ultimate goal, like every other Trump supporter, is for him not to lose. That way we don't have to go through him like denying the elections and all that stuff. I would like for him to win by literally having so many people vote for him that no matter what the left tries to do, he wins. And that's kind of the mentality I want to have, is that he's going to win, and it's going to be too big to rig. I don't want to have this mentality of, oh, if he loses, you know, he will probably complain about. I don't want to think like that. To me, the future looks bright. I gotta think the future looks bright, and if he loses, then we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But you know, let's hope he doesn't. Shouldn't there be a peaceful transfer of power? It's been done 44 other times. I mean, there is always going to be a peaceful transfer of power because. This is the part that I don't like, that a lot of people say, that because there was a quote unquote what they call an insurrection, which wasn't an insurrection because you have weapons for an insurrection, but whatever, the left wants to call it an insurrection, right, as a marketing tactic to get people rattled up about this thing where they went to the Capitol and a lot of people did things they were not supposed to do. Some didn't, they were just there. Some actually rioted, some were just protesting. However the case might be, it didn't change the fact that Biden still was president at the end of the day, and they want to continue using January 6th as a means to say, oh, Donald Trump is going to affect the transition of power because he did that already, and he's going to do it again if he loses. And the reality is, he didn't affect the transition of power just because that happened. That happened for many reasons. It happened because he has a lot of supporters. It happens because a lot of people didn't agree with those elections. It's not just about him. It's also about how people also feel. It's also because that was the most in time during the COVID time where people were doing mail-in ballots. That was never a thing in the past, to the extent that mail-in ballots became popular now. So there's so many reasons as to why people went there to protest. So, and it didn't change the outcome. Biden still became president. He's still president to this day. So the idea that there's no peaceful transfer of power to me is bullshit, because if that was the case, then there would have been a coup and Biden wouldn't be president right now. It would be Donald Trump and his, mafia of people, but that's not what actually happened. Like, it's just easy to say because of this negative event that happened that we now have to assume that he is against peaceful transition of power, which is false, because again, Biden is the president of the United States. He's been the president of the United States. Even though he's a puppet, he's still the president, commander-in-chief. So the idea of there wasn't a transition of power, to me, doesn't make sense when Biden is the president of the United States. So, yeah. I understand what you mean, but at the end of the day, look at reality. Reality is the president is Joe Biden, not Donald Trump. And for us Trump voters, we just want him to win. That way we can actually improve the country. We believe he will do a better job at improving the country. We, for the first time, have a case study of Trump administration and Biden administration, and we can compare and contrast which one was better, even though with his, we had a pandemic towards the end, and then with Biden, we had the prolonged pandemic, but you can still compare and contrast where your life was versus one or the other. And I think, to me, I'm speaking for myself, Donald Trump really outdoes how good life was compared to Biden. That's just... And I didn't vote for Trump second time. This is the first time I vote for him. So it's not like I'm speaking out of hardcore Trump supporter. I'm speaking just on straight up anecdote. Like, this is my experience on both administrations. And I can definitely say Trump was a better alternative versus Biden. And I didn't vote for either of them. So I think, my opinion counts to an extent. But, everybody can think whatever they want at the end of the day. But I appreciate you, Benny's. He had the power to stop it. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't the only one who had the power to stop it. But, we talked about that not too long ago. It wasn't just him. It was many others that didn't bother to listen to his... what's the word I'm looking for? Order. So he had an order. They didn't want to listen to his orders, and J6 happened. So, I think it's easy to blame him when at the end of the day he did his job by telling people what to do, and those people refused to do it. That's not really up to him at the end of the day. That's up to those other people who didn't want to secure that event when they secured the Black Lives Matter event. But, everybody will decide on what they think is just at the end of the day. But moving to what isn't just is the ABC mistakenly says Harris wins. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? Check that out. Want me to read it?
Wait.
Look at that. No, let's go back. Yeah, you cut like a good chunk of it.
From the beginning?
Yeah.
I was putting it to where you said.
Look at that, 52%. And they claimed it was a test. A test for what? What are you testing? Very strange stuff. So this is, to me, this is one of those things that if I were running, right, and something like that, and I'm seeing a bunch of voter fraud shenanigans, it doesn't matter who does it, whether it's a Democrat or Republicans, if you're committing fraud when it comes to votes, you should go to prison. I don't know what the term should, like how long you should be in there for. That's like, I don't know. I do know that you should go to prison. If it doesn't matter, Democrat or Republican, you should not be doing voter fraud, period. So when it comes to an ABC outlet, by mistake, how do you by mistake put out that Kamala Harris is going to win? Like, how does that happen? And they claim it was a test. What are you testing? Are you testing what? That you're gonna tell everybody that she already won? That way people can get buyer's remorse who are voting for Donald Trump? Like, what is the objective here to by mistake put something out that at the end of the day can affect people's perspectives or judgments? Because a lot of people will be like, well, if they already think that she won, then what's the point, you know? And I think that is troubling within itself. You know, aside from the shenanigans of, you know, voter fraud, and then Supreme Court having to rule something that's like common sense, like that shouldn't even be like a conversation, but apparently it has to be. Apparently it's not common sense, is not common anymore. And then now ABC, a huge media outlet, makes a mistake stating Kamala Harris will be president of the United States. When was it that happened? Happened recently.
Yeah, like 3 days ago.
Look at that. 3 days ago, they just made a mistake. I don't know. To me, it's just, I don't know. It's questionable. I'm not trying to like say anything outlandish. I'm just saying it's very questionable. The timing is suspect. And if I'm running for president and I see something like that, I'm gonna automatically question, what were you trying to do by even doing something along these lines? But what's up? Make more sheep sounds.
Just say sheep.
I think that's his name. Make more sheep sounds.
Yeah, I know.
So you guys let me know what you think about the whole ABC mistakenly says Harris is going to be president. I think that is questionable. We want to talk about transition of power. Let's talk about how the media is literally doing things like this that can literally sway a vote. Just like how 4 years ago, the media purposely suppressed a story called Hunter Biden's laptop, lied and said that it was false. Turns out to be true. It also turns out that the Biden administration was colluding with big tech, meaning Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg finally admits recently to Jim Jordan and Congress that he apologizes, that he shouldn't have done that. So this is all coming into the light now, 4.5 years later, and they should make you question everything, because a lot of people are going to say, well, you know, Donald Trump says a lot of things that he's not supposed to say. Donald Trump has created a huge amount of people that really support him, and that can be problematic to a lot of people that don't agree with his policies. But it doesn't change the fact that the amount of impact he has is something that you should be impressed by, because this guy was not a politician. He was an outsider coming in. It's fresh, it's new. So you can't be mad at us for something like that. And at the same time, if you're seeing the guy that you want to be president not get that chance because the media is suppressing or exposing fake information, that as a voter would piss you off, you know? And that's why January 6th happened. One of the reasons why January 6th happened is because they believe that the media is not on their side. The press is not on their side, it's not on our side, and it's supposed to be. So, and this is just a great example. ABC mistakes Harris to be the winner. Like, how does that happen? I don't know. But let's move on. Foreign affairs. Let's talk about energy, guys. So I thought this was a really interesting article about energy and nuclear weapons. So I wanted to kind of show you guys where the nuclear weapons are at. And the reason why I want to show this is because you see the graph on the top. Okay, well, I want you to scroll down. Okay, there you go. Very important. So Russia has 6,257 nuclear weapons. We have 5,550. China has 350, France 290, UK 225, Pakistan 165, India 156, Israel 90, and North Korea 50. Okay, so the issue that I have is that right now we are in an administration that has encouraged war. And the problem I have with that is that you're encouraging war with countries that are a huge threat to just humanity because they have nuclear weapons, that can literally just kill everything. And I think that if you're going to vote for somebody, and we're currently living under war, under a war. We have the Ukraine war that's been going on for 2.5 years. We have the Israel war. So the fact that we're going through war, we've been sending money overseas because of the war, and nobody's actually talking about the fact that nuclear war is close because we're having more war. Like, you would think, because we are more self-aware, because technology has helped us become more self-aware, we can actually become more conscious if we choose to, because we have more information at our disposal, that we wouldn't want to kill each other. You would think, because we're more self-aware now than, or at least that we think we're more self-aware than we were before, that we wouldn't want war, much less a nuclear war. And yeah, here we are in war, which happens to be during this administration. And then if she wins, let's say she wins, how do we know that we are safe? Like, how do we know that the world is safe, considering Russia has nuclear weapons, China has nuclear weapons, and we are at war with both of them?
I didn't think China had so little.
Yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that they can easily just say, hey, we're going to partner up with Russia. North Korea just did that recently. North Korea partnered up with Russia. So it's like, just think about it as
The fact that North Korea has 50 is kind of wild. I didn't think they had that many.
The fact that if North Korea can partner up with Russia and be like, yo, I will help you go, with this war with Ukraine, I will help you. That already should be something that you should be asking. Is Kamala Harris's administration really going to help us stay safe from nuclear war or from escalating war? I don't think so, because during this administration, we've gotten into war. So to me, it doesn't make sense to have faith in somebody who got us in war to be getting us out of war. It just doesn't make sense, especially because when she spoke to Zelensky 3 or 4 days later, Ukraine literally Russia invaded Ukraine. And then I recently found out, which I didn't even know this, I recently found this out, that Ukraine is a part of NATO. Can you fact check that really quick? Because I believe I saw that somewhere and I was like, whoa. This is, to me, it's hysterical how we can say, yeah, we're fighting for democracy, we're fighting for freedom, we're sending money overseas because we're updating our machinery, our weapons, and we're using the weapons that we already have, giving them to Ukrainians that way they can fight. And I'm like, okay, you're missing the point. The point is, we shouldn't even be involved in a war, okay, when we have an internal war going on. That's one. And number two, why did we continue to want to push Ukraine into NATO? Did you find out if
no.
It's not?
No, but it has been a close partner.
It's close. Alliance. Okay, because I was like, I read something that they're thinking about it, but they haven't been. Okay, so they're flirting with the idea of Ukraine being a part of NATO. Why would you be flirting with that idea when you have an adversary right next door that has 6,257 nuclear weapons, dude. Like, it's just, to me, it makes me think, like, are the people in power like dumb? Like, how low is your IQ to think that this is something that you should be entertaining, honestly? But I digress. You guys tell me what you think. I honestly believe that choosing Trump is choosing no war, no death, stop this like escalating, and choosing Kamala Harris is choosing to continue to escalate more death and more destruction, which is funny because she's literally running on how Trump is chaos. I think it's a projection of her own administration, but let's continue on. We're going to talk about trade. I found this article that I've been finding really good articles lately. So this article is about tariffs, because apparently the left thinks that tariffs are bad and they're going to hurt the economy and yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to read this to you. In 2023, Mexico became the United States' top trader partner, surpassing China. Just as the Mexican and American economies integrate, though, so have the Mexican and Chinese economies. With China now the former's fastest growing foreign investor, this has worried Washington, including members of the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, who see in the Beijing's investments an attempt to take advantage of a permissive North American trade deal. But simply, while some view Mexico-U.S. integration as reflecting a success in decoupling from China, others believe that the Asian giant is trying to better its relationship with the U.S. neighbor in order to dodge sanctions and tariffs. There are good reasons to believe this. After all, following the COVID-19 pandemic and President Donald Trump's trade war with China, Chinese foreign direct investment in Mexico grew by 3 times between 2019 and 2021. In Nuevo León, the Mexican state with the highest total gross production, Chinese corporations were responsible for 30%. All right. So we're going to move on, although I want to go to this. Okay. With these developments, it made sense for Mexico to further enhance its trade relationship with China, becoming a middleman of sorts between the world's 2 largest economies. As U.S. imports from China fell by 25% during the first 6 months of 2023, Beijing decided to fixate on Mexico. But just as investments boomed, Mexico decided to temporarily increase tariffs on between 5 to 25% on a total of 392 products for countries with which it does not have a free trade agreement, including China. The tariffs, which were put in place on August 16th, impact around 90% of Chinese exports to Mexico and will remain in effect until July 2025. All right, so there's another thing here that I read that I was like, that is very interesting. I'm trying to find it here. Okay, here we go. In order to maintain its close relationship with the U.S., still the country's closest security partner, currency lender, and largest foreign direct investor, Mexico may have had to reluctantly make this move as a good show of faith. The 2 countries have been negotiating over their trade and security partnerships or prominent bilateral visits. They're talking about Mexico and the USA in recent weeks, and tensions over migration, democratic stability, and gang violence mounting. The move may have been a precondition of U.S. negotiators as part of these efforts. So, and really quick, I want to go back here because this is where the nitty-gritty comes in. All the way down. The main exports sent from Mexico to China, namely steel, aluminum, auto parts, and chemicals, now incur new tariffs, given that Mexico exported $1.9 billion worth of goods to China in October alone. These tariffs could help generate billions in additional revenue for the Mexican state in a difficult economic and financial situation. So, interesting, huh? How tariffs are being used by the Mexican government to generate more revenue. But yet, if Donald Trump says it, then it's automatically terrible and it's really bad for the economy and it's going to affect everybody's lives for the worst. And, but if Mexico does it, it's perfectly fine. Beyond diplomatic statements expressing frustration, neither Chinese business nor the Chinese government have shown any signs of slowing or stopping investment and trade with Mexico. The cost of leaving is probably much higher than those imposed by the new tariffs. Exactly, they're going to stay and just eat it because you have plenty of money to pay for it, China, thus not generating a sufficient incentive for Chinese companies to back up shop. Regardless, China was most likely warned before the tariffs were put in place, allowing it to make the adjustments necessary to reduce any losses. As a result, these tariffs would allow Mexico to generate additional revenues with little blowback, calming its northern neighbor in the process. So I think this is great. I think this shows that we can do the same exact thing in the United States of America when it comes to China. I also found out in a video that Value Entertainment made, which I recommend you guys watch. He talks about tariffs, and he talks about how there hasn't been any president aside from Donald Trump who's actually changed different trading agreements with different countries. Obama did not redo any trade agreements, neither did Bush. And all the trade agreements that they have done has benefited the country more than it has benefited us. And he also explains in the video, which I still recommend you guys watch, that he literally explicitly shows you that we've been giving more than we've been receiving, and it's time to get fair in the game. And he says, well, the two things we can do. We can either tell them you have to buy this much amount of product from us as we buy from you, or we tax you. Take your pick. I think it's a great way to kind of even out the playing field and show that at the end of the day, business needs to be equal on both sides. It doesn't make sense that I'm giving you business and you're not giving me shit. Then it's not a transaction. You're just leeching off of me. So I think what Mexico is doing with tariffs is a great indicator that if Mexico can do it and they're benefiting from it, I don't see why America can't do the same. So you guys tell me what you guys think. Let me listen to a couple of you guys because I see a lot of engagement here, which I appreciate. Thank you guys so much. Let me see here. He will destroy drop shippers. I don't think so because it would have happened already in his first term. I think that the only way for us to know what the effects are going to be is for him to win, and that's the objective, is for him to win. And then we'll see if his theory is going to work, which I believe can work better long term versus Kamala's short term. Everything with what she's doing is extremely short term for the economy versus what he's thinking is long term for the economy. And I think when it comes to the economy, you should definitely be thinking as a visionary and not just trying to, do half-fast. That's the word I was trying to use. Let me see here. Let me see. Makes more. DJ, I think Michigan was one of the states that refused to remove RFK from the ballot. Yes, it was. DJ, he wants to vote for RFK. Did you put JFK? He put JFK. I think he meant that. He's trolling, guys. Don't take him super seriously. DJ is a basement comedian, but he's still a comedian. He had guardrails. Yeah, super long term. I mean, that's the whole point, right? The whole point is for it to be long term. I don't know. We'll find out. But like I said, the goal is for him to win, guys. That's the goal. So let's talk really quick about this next article I found on Trade. Politico. So it talks about the U.S. trade deficit, which the video that PBD talks about when it comes to tariffs also talks about the trade deficit. So I wanted to read a little bit about the article to you guys, and you guys can kind of come up with your own conclusions about this, because at the end of the day, we're just Americans just trying to figure it out. You know, nobody knows everything. There's not one person who knows it all. Except, creator. That's it.
No, Orange Man mean.
This guy. Okay, so you ready? Okay, cool. Let's go. The U.S. trade deficit over the 4 years of President Donald Trump's presidency soared to its highest level since 2008. Despite his tough tariff tactics intended to bring it down, a new Commerce Department report showed on Friday the combined U.S. goods and services trade deficit increased to $679 billion in 2020 compared to the $481 billion in 2016. The year before Trump took office, the trade deficit in goods alone hit $916 billion, a record high, and an increase of about 21% from 2016. Trump failed in one of his major trade policy goals because the U.S. trade deficit is driven more by macroeconomic factors like how much a country spends and saves than it is by tariffs and foreign trade practices, analysts said. This is an analyst saying that, so this is a quote-unquote expert saying that. Trump administration never had a feasible plan for reducing trade deficit, explained Mary Lovely, a senior fellow at the Peterson Institute of International Economics. I wonder what party she's affiliated with. Their 2017 tax cut ensured that the U.S. as a whole would continue to spend more than it produced, hence the need for a current account deficit. The tariffs on China reduced imports from China, but these were mostly replaced with imports from other sources. Deficit with China fell. So this is interesting. They're saying that it didn't work, but the deficit with China fell. Trump was successful in bringing down the bilateral trade deficit with China as a result of the tariffs he imposed on more than $350 billion worth of Chinese goods. Final figures show that trade gap with China totaled $311 billion in 2020, down sharply to the record high of $419 billion in 2018. But as Trump tamped down on imports from China, U.S. companies turned to other foreign suppliers. The U.S. trade deficit with Vietnam, Thailand, Taiwan, Philippines, Malaysia, South Korea, Indonesia, Russia, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, and Switzerland were all higher in 2020 than in 2019. Imports from China also grew sharply in the second half of 2020. Trump tariffs also imposed higher costs on businesses and consumers. That's the argument that they're making. U.S. Customs and Border Protection collected $74.4 billion in tariffs on imported goods during the 2020 fiscal year, which ended up on September 30th. That was more than double the taxes the CBP collected on imports before Trump took office. So this is the part that I don't really understand. So they're on one hand they're saying that yeah, the tariffs actually did decrease the deficit when it comes to China, but at the same time they're saying but tariffs are bad because it makes everything more expensive for the consumer. However, things are expensive right now. Okay, things are expensive right now. And if tariffs were so bad, then why didn't the Biden-Harris administration remove them? Why didn't they remove them? Exactly. So this is why I don't trust the argument that tariffs are bad. I don't trust the argument. And there's been other economics, old school economists like, what's this guy's name? Friedman, Milton Friedman. Is that his name? Yeah. Milton Friedman literally talks about how tariffs are literally a tool for you to kind of get countries to cooperate with you. You know, so it's just, and he's just one of them. But I like the way he explained. That guy, right? Yeah, that guy. So Milton Friedman explains in a very basic way how tariffs are not bad, and I genuinely believe that the media wants to portray tariffs to be bad, and they want to call it, the Kamala Harris calls it a Trump tax. But at the end of the day, her taxes will be significantly higher if she were to win, because they're already high right now. So the idea that she's going to lower what she's already caused, to me, doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. But whatever. People are going to think whatever the hell they want at the end of the day. I'm just here to say what I think out loud. And if you guys disagree with me, tell me in the comments. If you don't disagree with me, like at Benny's, we agree and disagree on many things. Say it in the comments, because at the end of the day, that's where the open dialogue comes in, is just being able to say what we think. And whether we agree or disagree, as long as we can actually come to a common ground, that's what matters at the end of the day. So I want to talk about legislation. I love when I get to see hearings. They really, some of them piss me off because it shows how we're paying for like stupid people to be in power, but then others gives me hope, and that's why I am an optimistic. And just like Value Entertainment says, Patrick Bet-David says, the future does look bright. I truly believe that. So let's go to the video from the beginning to 133.
130. Wait, hold on. That's
not that one. The one before that one.
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry, you confused me there.
This is about the criminality
Donald
with Trump.
Pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records on April 4th. marking the first criminal charges for any former U.S. president. The charges stem from hush money payments made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election, and Trump's culpability will likely hinge on the purpose of that payment. Falsifying business records in New York is a misdemeanor, but it can become a felony when there is an intent to defraud that includes an intent to commit, aid, or conceal another crime. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg has alleged that Trump falsified business records to hide the payment and to cover up an illegal catch-and-kill scheme to influence the election.
The participant scheme was illegal. The scheme violated New York election law, which makes it a crime to conspire to promote a candidacy by unlawful means. The $130,000 wire payment exceeded the federal campaign contribution cap, and the false statements in AMI's books violated New York law.
Bragg's indictment lists 34 separate instances of alleged misconduct by Trump. Each felony count carries a maximum sentence of 4 years. But even if convicted, legal experts have suggested it is unlikely that Trump would face jail time as a first-time offender with no criminal record and a 2024 presidential candidate. In a similar hush money case in 2012, former presidential candidate John Edwards was acquitted on 1 count, and the jury failed to reach a verdict on 5 other charges. Trump has denied the alleged affair with Daniels and dismissed the charges after his arraignment hearing in New York.
All right, cool beans. I'm gonna go to the chat really quick, see what you guys are talking about. I don't want you guys killing each other here. We're all friends and pals. Yes, DJ, hold it down on the DMs. I don't know why I said that, but it's okay. Everybody understands that I say random things sometimes. Okay, so Obama was very clean and articulate for a black man. Oh man, okay. When will we talk about the squirrel? I saw that whole squirrel story kind of like roaming around, but I generally don't know what happened with the squirrel thing, to be honest with you. Like, I saw something about a squirrel, but I have no idea what that story is about, to be honest with you. Let me see here. But I'm being serious. Okay, so Trump says some dumb things for sure. Yeah, but I think you should be allowed to say what you think out loud, no matter how dumb it may sound to the other person, as long as it's not inciting literal hate, and as long as your intentions are not to get people to be violent, I think it doesn't really matter. I think that we are just programmed to believe that the president of the United States is supposed to be this polished, edited, grammar-checked individual that is soulless, and we don't really know who they truly are, and we're just believing in the image that they're giving you and their quote-unquote messaging. But when the actions come in, it's the total opposite, which is what happened with Obama. So I think that people are kind of fed up with this idea of a career politician, and they want something new, they want something fresh, they want somebody that can actually sit down for 3 hours and just say whatever they think, and if they get pushed back, they need to be able to defend themselves, because that shows that you are a legitimate human. You're not a non-player character. I'm not into gaming, but I know what NPCs are, and I genuinely believe that we have NPCs in this reality, because to me, it's mind-boggling how we have so many people in power who can't really articulate themselves or can't express or just relax and just be a human being. Like when they asked Kamala Harris, what would she do differently than Joe Biden? She couldn't tell you what she can do different. So how can you, as a voter, as a citizen of the United States of America, believe that she's going to make a difference in your life if she cannot explain to you, the voter, how she's different from Joe Biden, how she would do anything different from Joe Biden. All she has said was, I'm not Joe Biden, I'm not Donald Trump. No shit, Sherlock, but what makes you better than Donald Trump? If you cannot explain what makes you better, then that means that you are not better than Donald Trump. It's that simple. Like, honestly, let's not even talk about her past, which is not good either. And it makes women look bad as a whole, because if she had to sleep around with the mayor to get to positions of power in California, it just makes women look bad, and it makes us look like we can't be authentic leaders without having to sleep around to get to where we want to be. That's my opinion on that. It makes us look bad. I don't want a woman that is president to have had a past like that, because at the end of the day, you are representing the American people, and you are a woman, so it's just not a good look on women. And aside from the past, just right now, what has she said that gets people to say, yeah, wow, she inspires me to be like there's no inspiration, there's nothing that will get you to be passionate about this person. Nothing. Freaking Bernie Sanders had people actually believing in that guy, and he's so much older than her. So it's not even about mental fitness and how like she makes it seem like, oh, that she's healthier because she's younger and she's mentally better and more sharp than Donald Trump. If you're so sharp, then why can you sit down for 3 hours with Joe Rogan? Why do you have to make a bullshit excuse and say, oh, because of scheduling issues, and then literally said that he had to go to you and sit down with you for an hour? Like, no, dude, you don't get to call the shots here. You need him. He doesn't need you. So that's another reason why. There's just so many reasons that you can come up with just on her character and or lack of character, better said. And at the end of the day, it goes deeper than just policies. Policies are obviously important, but it goes into character. And what person do you want leading the country? And the person who has a strong sense of character should be the person running the country, and she does not have it. She has zero character, zero spirit, just zero, a lot of things. So she has been unburdened by what has been. Okay, so I want to talk about this last thing. So we were just talking about how Donald Trump's been criminally indicted, right? And a lot of people are perfectly okay with Donald Trump, the former president, to be indicted and to go to prison. And that to me is shocking. Again, this is a human being with a family who's been shot, almost had his life taken away from him because of bad actors who were probably provoked by the rhetoric from the left. But that's another story for another day. And instead of you kind of being sympathetic to the fact that, you know, this guy just had his life was put in harm's way, that you wouldn't be mad that the Supreme Court made the ruling on immunity. Instead, they are mad about it, and they still want him to go to prison regardless of what's happened to him so far, which to me is outrageous. But I want you guys to look at the speech that Ted Cruz did. Amazing, phenomenal. I did talk about this a little bit on Married Truth, but his wording was beautiful. Check it out. Ready?
Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The nub of the Democrats' argument today is that the concept of presidential immunity is somehow unprecedented, is somehow remarkable. That claim is utterly ahistorical and disconnected from the entire constitutional history of the Republic. General Mukasey, before 2023, how many times has the President of the United States been indicted? And it is somehow.
None.
Before 2023, how many times has a former President of the United States been indicted?
None.
In the last 2 years, how many times has President Donald J. Trump been indicted?
4 times, I believe.
Now, many presidents of both parties have engaged in controversial actions, and yet none of them have been indicted. Let me ask you, General Mukasey, if a private citizen were to erect an internment camp and to forcibly kidnap American citizens, to single them out because of race, and to imprison them based on their race, would that private citizen be subject to criminal prosecution?
Would.
When President Franklin Delano Roosevelt did the exact same thing and erected Japanese internment camps, was FDR prosecuted?
He was not.
Let me ask you, similarly, if a private citizen were, say, to detonate a nuclear weapon over a city and kill over 140,000 people, and then if that private citizen a few days later detonated another nuclear bomb over another city and killed 75,000 people, could that private citizen be criminally prosecuted?
He would.
Was President Harry Truman prosecuted for detonating nuclear weapons over Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
He was not.
All right, how about this? If a private citizen launched a weaponized drone and killed a United States citizen, could that private citizen be criminally prosecuted?
He would.
Was President Barack Obama criminally prosecuted when he killed United States citizens using drones without notice and without due process?
He was not.
Yeah, it gets better. Let's move on to the next one. He worded that.
Criminal liability?
He does.
How about this? If a president sexually assaults, let's say, an intern in the Oval Office, is the president subject to criminal prosecution for that?
He could be.
So that distinction, again, is not a shocking distinction. The Founding Fathers vested the executive power in a single president of the United States. What we have seen in the last 2 years is we have seen Democrats deliberately weaponizing the Department of Justice and our legal system to target their political opposition. It is not an accident that every indictment against President Trump was brought by a Democrat and was brought after he announced his campaign for President of the United States. Understand, the target of those indictments was not ultimately President Trump, it was the voters. It was prosecutors who were terrified that the voters would choose to re-elect President Trump. One of the great things about the United States is we're not a banana republic. Since 2000, the nation of Pakistan has had 6 former prime ministers prosecuted and convicted. Brazil has had 3 former presidents arrested and imprisoned. Last year, Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega arrested, charged, and imprisoned 40 political opponents. General Mukasey, you are Attorney General of the United States. Is it the proper role of the Department of Justice to prosecute and target the political opponents of whoever happens to be President of the United States?
It is most assuredly not.
Thank you.
Amazing. Beautifully said. What do y'all think? I mean, he literally pointed everything that other presidents have done in the past, and yet they were not criminally indicted for it. And yet here we are with somebody that was there for 4 years, is an outsider, did a lot of disruption in the political arena, and because he is a threat to the elites. There's only thing that Kamala Harris has said that is correct is that Donald Trump is a threat, but it's not a threat to democracy. It's a threat to you, the elitist, Kamala Harris, the Schumers, the Pelosi's, all you motherfuckers who are in the game of making money off of insider trading, all that corruption, all that lobbying, all that is what is threatening. And you know that if he wins, you guys cannot continue doing what you've been doing for years and years and years, because he is going to be the disruptor, the exposer, as he's already done. So, I mean, look at how much he's exposed being in and even out of office. Look how much he's exposed. He exposed how we can't trust in the media. He exposed how the federal government does collude with big tech. He exposed how there is corruption within the actual like political arena when it comes to Schumer and Raskin and all these people. So the fact that he has been put in a position of power where he's literally exposed people who are doing wrong to the very voters who pay for their jobs and their salaries is of course threatening to those who are profiting from all this chaos and all this deception and corruption. So you're right, Kamala Harris. Donald Trump is a threat, but it's not to democracy. It's to the elitists like you. Even though you claim that you are from a middle-class family, you're still an elitist. That's why we have the most amount of money is going to your campaign. Just not too long ago, what's this guy's name? The owner of Microsoft, what's his name? Bill Gates gave her, I don't know how many billions of dollars. So, and he gave her money right when this other country, I forgot what country it was, that they're trying to jail him because of the whole COVID situation. So there's a lot of shenanigans going on when it comes to the 1% of the world. They're funding Kamala Harris. And then she wants to say we need to tax the rich. Give me a break, lady. Who do you think you're fooling here? If you think that we're going to believe you by you saying you're going to tax the rich when the rich are the ones funding you. They're the ones who want you to win. And you're going to think, you think I'm going to believe that you're going to help me when you have the majority of the rich on your side? Are you fucking kidding me? You have to be a fool to believe that. It's this story with the little boy who finds a snake, and the snake says to the little boy, carry me onto that cliff, I will not bite you. And the little boy says, but you're a snake. No, I will not bite you. I promise. Trust me, I will not bite you. The boy trusts the snake and carries the snake to that cliff. And what does the snake do? It bites the little boy. The little boy says, why did you bite me? And the snake says, because I'm a snake. You shouldn't have trusted me. That is literally what you are doing by voting for Kamala Harris. That's literally what you're doing. You are trusting in a snake and you're believing that snake is not going to bite you. Why would you do that? It's just look at the facts that are right in front of you. Look at the facts. That's what I want people to care about. It's not about emotion. It's about logic. Compare and contrast. Cause and effect. Look at what they've caused during their administration and look at how that's affected us. That's all you have to do. This is not rocket science, guys. This is very black and white, plain and simple, and people don't want to see it like that because they don't like the idea of a two-party system. However, that is the current system we are living in, and I think it's pointless to complain about the system that's already been created way before you were even like a thought. So like, to me, it's dumb and naive to just be like, oh, we shouldn't trust either side, and we should have a third or a fourth or a fifth. Okay, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We have two choices, just like we have two genders. So because we have two choices, pick which one fits your life. And not just your life right now, but your life long term. I think, my opinion, everybody has a different opinion. You can put your opinion in the comments. That way I can check out what you guys think about this. But I think the best option that we have right now is Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris. That's my opinion. You guys can push back in the comments and state why you think otherwise, and I would be gladly to listen to your perspective. But that is just what I think based off of what's happening right now, based off of her actions. Is just, to me, it's really not that. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. Especially because you have celebrities that are kind of compromised, allegedly, who are saying vote for Kamala Harris. So, I don't know, man. It's just not a good look for you to have Usher, who allegedly was groomed by Diddy, now saying yeah, vote for Kamala Harris. Same thing goes for J-Lo, Eminem, Beyonce, Lizzo. You have all these people that at the end they don't even represent the people. And that should tell you everything. That should tell you everything. But guys, this has been fun. I hope we win in 2 days. I will be live streaming on Tuesday, eating my fingernails like super paranoid, but the future looks bright. I strongly believe that. I 100% subscribe to that mentality that Patrick Bet-David is sharing with everybody else. So guys, stay vigilant. Vote. Don't forget to vote. Vote before the election day. Don't wait until election day. Get out there and vote. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. This is the Mary Truth Talks show. See you guys next